at this as well.
Okay. Yeah, I got the little notification.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Talking to Smit. And today I am joined by the man that allegedly taught Eddie Van Halen how to shred guitar, the amazing and unbelievably talented Pete Starry. Welcome.
Yeah, I wish I could. Yeah, I don't know about teaching Eddie Van Halen how to play.
But rumor has it you're a big Gary Moore fan.
I am actually. Since I knew I'd be, talking, that's probably a bit tricky to see, but I do have a vinyl record of. There was a new album that they released.
Yes.
With some unreleased tracks, some covers, some originals, and I got that on vinyl recently. And I really, really loved it. It was cool to hear some of those. It was cool to hear, just some, I guess not really new, but stuff that we hadn't heard from him.
Yeah, I think that's the How Blue Can You Get album, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is.
He's unbelievable. He's incredibly talented, but you've a lot of inspirations. So you do with your music background. Me and you share a lot of like music tastes.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I was doing a bit of Instagram stalking today of you.
Yeah.
How did it feel to be followed on Instagram by Zakk Wylde, Jack Black, AC/DC? How?
Yeah, that's pretty wild to see, some of the guys that I look up to and am inspired by. It's kind of wild to see, get the notification that, they followed you or, they commented on a post. Like I remember, there was just a cover of me just having fun jamming. I think it was Carry On Wayward Son or something like that. And Zakk Wylde commented and he's like, killing it, Father Pete. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's that was cool. That was neat.
I would have just started crying. I'm a huge Zakk Wylde fan as well.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Have you considered, I actually can't remember, have you done any covers of his on your TikTok?
You know what? I don't think I have. I need to though, because I mean those solos, like with Ozzy and stuff. Yeah, they're great, but it's kind of intimidating too. It's like, that's kind of in the back of my mind. I'm like, if he like stumbles across and sees it, he'll be like, I'm playing his solo, like he wrote it. So that's kind of interesting to think about when doing a cover or just jamming something. It'd be like, yeah, it's a funny thing to think about.
Have you ever actually seen Zakk Wylde shredding on the Hello Kitty guitar?
Oh, I've seen that video. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you should get a Hello Kitty guitar just for your TikTok.
Yeah, that would be fun. But yeah.
That's awesome. You should definitely do. One of my favorite Zakk Wylde solos is House of Doom.
I don't think I know that one.
Oh really? Oh, it would be a challenge, but you've got the skills. I have every bit of trust and faith in you.
Maybe I'll give it a try. But I know he just what was it? Black Label Society. It just came up with a new album. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm so excited. A lot of unbelievable music has come out recently as well.
Yeah.
AC/DC's new album last year, which you played Demon Fire.
Yeah, that was really exciting.
Yeah. Hopefully they do a tour again.
I know. I'm hoping. I mean, as soon as because I mean, it's funny with them. It's like they don't have to do press or anything. They're just kind of silent. There's like nothing. But with the album when the album was coming out and they had to promote it and stuff, they were doing press. So it was fun to like hear Angus doing interviews and stuff, and it sounds like they want to hit the road. So I'm like, whenever they're ready to go, I'm like, I'll be I'll be the first in line whenever they come through Chicago or Milwaukee or wherever.
You never know. You could play your cards right and to be doing support for them.
Oh man, I mean, I wouldn't get my hopes up, but I can keep dreaming.
So what made you want to start TikTok at the very beginning? What made you say, right, I'm going to go on TikTok, going to start recording guitar solos and getting myself out there?
Yeah, well, the whole TikTok thing, kind of how it got started is kind of funny. Because originally, I mean, I remember when the app, I was a senior in high school, kind of when it was like starting to blow up, and I mean, I didn't really care about it. But, I mean, I guess I saw like a lot of my friends were getting on it, and I was like, you know, to me, I'm like, it's just another social media app at first. But then, you know, high school ended and stuff, and you know, before the pandemic hit, me and mom, we would do speakings. We would talk to middle schools,
Hmm.
um stuff. That's kind of a whole like that's the whole story.
Yeah.
Um, but it was like, oh, well, we could use this like when we go to schools, you know, because I'd play a bit of guitar and stuff, and the kids would be clapping or you know stuff like that. And just you know, and then I'm like I could post like you know videos and stuff, but kind of at the beginning I didn't really know what to do at first. But then the pandemic hit. It's like okay, you know, live, you know, playing live is out the window. You know, speakings, the speakings at schools that we did, that was done, and sadly, it's still kind of you know not picked up again. But it's like, okay, you know, now what? So I just kind of got started then and there, like just recording videos, you know, just covers and stuff and putting them on TikTok. And really just kind of over time, it just kind of kept growing and growing and growing into kind of what it is now. So, I mean, that's really kind of all it was. It really just kind of got started out of, you know, boredom, I guess.
Boredom and lockdown. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It seems like you're one of very few people that have genuinely thrived from a lockdown.
I mean, I guess there's a lot that's hurt. I mean, there's a lot that's hurt too, but yeah. I mean, I guess there's a bit of a, you know, silver lining to it.
Do you remember the first TikTok that you recorded?
Yes, it's quite a scroll, but all the way down, I think it's a video that mom just kind of took, like, just kind of, you know, in the moment. I was, I don't wear it anymore, but I used to wear a prosthetic ear.
Mhm.
Um, and I think in the video, I was playing a little bit, but the ear was kind of hanging off my head. And
Yeah.
so I was just kind of shaking my head. And then eventually it kind of flew off and I just kind of hit a chord and was like, you know, ta-da. And then that was it. And I think like, you know, just kind of like a funny caption, you know, warning cranked amps, you know, it'll do more than, you know, make you lose your hearing. It'll blow a whole ear off.
Wow. Very good. But like you've when do you start learning guitar? What made you say, right, I'm gonna pick up this instrument and decide to play it?
Yeah. So that was quite a few years ago. Let's see. It's kind of funny trying to remember like what the big kind of factor was because kind of looking back at it, I could think of like some of the seats that were planted. Like I remember like, you know, Thunderstruck being such a popular tune that it is, you know, you'd hear it in like, you know, a whole bunch of like you know, like you feel like a hockey game or something like that, or like at any sporting event or something, and you'd hear it over, you know, the loudspeakers, and it would get you pumped up. And even like in the car, my brother's a hockey player, so you know, they, you know, mom and dad driving to a game, they play all sorts of music and stuff, and the guitar driven stuff. It was kind of like, oh yeah, you know, that would get them pumped up for a game. But another thing I remember too is when I was, you know, when I was in middle school, I was just kind of listening to whatever was on the radio, like, you know, whatever like the top 40 stuff was, and like, yeah. But I do remember at one point, dad was in the car driving, and we were like almost home, and on the radio, Eruption came on. And he's like, "Oh, you know, I love this when I was younger." And I mean, I didn't really know anything about the guitar at the time. Didn't really, you know too much about music. I wasn't really interested in it. But when I heard Eruption, it was kind of like, you know, even though I didn't have any clue about guitar, didn't even know anything about Van Halen, um, you know, hearing that solo, it's kind of like there's something special about that. Like, you know, even not being a music fan at the time, or you know, a big music fan, or really a guitar player, hearing that, it was kind of like there's something cool about that. And to me, it kind of speaks to of just how powerful that solo is, just kind
Oh,
of from my own experience.
it's sensational, but that's awesome that like something resonated and just clicked from a song to make
Mhm,
you think, right, that's what I want to do.
mhm.
And it's great. It's great to see you thriving and doing so well. Was there a moment when you first like, sort of broke free and started kicking off on TikTok that you thought, right, this could really go somewhere?
Let's see. I think like let's see, it was more of the summer of 2020. It was kind of like I think, actually that first video I ever posted, it did pretty well. And that was kind of like I'd never seen something like that happen before. So it's kind of like, oh wow. um but I do remember like I did a video of Hotel California, and that being such a popular song that everyone knows and recognizes, it did really well on there. That was like the first kind of, I guess you'd call it, like, viral viral video that I had. I don't know what the benchmark for it was, but it did really well. So that was really wild to see. And then there was like another video I did where I kind of talked more about my cochlear implant, or
Yes.
the hearing aid, and that did that got a lot of attention too. So that was something a bit different from the music, but it was still pretty. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was still like another video that kind of brought a whole bunch of new people in. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your golden hour syndrome here shortly, because that's something like, because it's something it's very rare, and we need to get this out there more. We need to tell people and inform people about it, which is something that, because I believe I might be wrong here, but I'm near enough sure that my friend's son has it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only two people that I know, is yourself and him, that has it, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite TikToks that you have done is you covered one of my favorite songs of all time, and that was Freebird.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I think with that one, trying to remember, but like I know for Freebird in particular, what I like to do is, you could learn the whole solo, but that's like 10 minutes. So I'm kind of like, well, okay, why not kind of kick it off, kind of how, in the way that people know it, they kind of put my own spin on it a little bit, like try and honor the original, but maybe put some little twists in there that still kind of carry it along in the same way. So yeah, I mean, I guess it sounds like it was a hit.
It definitely was. It's so good. It was so good. And recently, you had a wee tribute to Dimebag as well.
Yeah.
It's your music taste that I truly love, and thank God for Eruption being played in the car at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, right time, right place.
Right, big time. But have you ever sat back and thought, if I didn't start TikTok, what life would be like?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is interesting to think about, especially, I mean, since it really got started like a month before everything kind of happened. Like it was kind of like right there. So I don't know. It's hard to kind of know what would have happened. If I didn't start it up then, would I start it up a little bit later just from being bored, in lockdown? Yeah. So I don't know. There's all these what ifs, I guess. So I'm not quite sure what would have happened. It's kind of hard to think about now.
Oh, it really is. Like so with my podcast, I started last year in the middle of lockdown over here.
Yeah.
And if I didn't start it, I would just be sitting in the house getting fatter and fatter, doing absolutely nothing. It's weird. It's just weird how things can really take off.
Yes.
Yeah. And how quickly life can change by putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with TikTok, have you noticed that maybe have you been getting hate online, or people, like, is it all praise, or how do you find it putting yourself out there?
Oh yeah, there's definitely some of the nasty comments. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to kind of, I mean, typically I'll delete them, or honestly, it's great. I mean, a lot of the times other people will stick up for me and maybe just kind of, take care of it for me, I guess. But but typically I'll delete it. There are definitely some of those moments where you just kind of read something, you gotta you just gotta turn the phone off and maybe walk away for a bit. Yeah, because some people can get really nasty.
Yes,
which is unfortunate. But I mean, that's unfortunately kind of comes with social media.
It really does. Like it is the sort of thing that the people behind the keyboard are very brave, but they wouldn't say it
Yeah.
in the street.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because I've started getting a wee bit of hate because of maybe some of the guests that I've had on, or maybe I've said something that somebody's took a bit of offense to, and
Oh,
getting comments and stuff being like, oh, how dare you say this, or I found that quite offensive when I don't actually mean to be.
right. Yeah.
And they're calling me all the bad words of the day, and I'm just sitting there like, did you really need to say that? It's like, have I really annoyed you that much that you have to come to me and say this, and this, and I've got that stage now where I am just brushing everything off, and I would love to get that stage where you're just able to delete it, put your phone down and just walk away.
It's definitely a practice. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. But I mean, the other thing that's just kind of, I think about too, I'm like, if you don't like the video or something, just scroll. There's, a million other videos. Just, yeah. There's more stuff to keep scrolling to.
Exactly, especially with TikTok. If they don't like it, they're gonna open up the comments and start typing, and it's gonna play like 4 times in the background while they're commenting. So
yeah, so I mean, you know what? It's helping rack up the views a little bit, so I guess I can't complain.
Yeah, hopefully they're writing the longest hate message ever.
Yeah, they gotta do a part 2 because the comments get cut off.
That'd be awesome. With lockdown and like a lot of gigs and stuff being cancelled, did you have any concerts that you had planned to go like see like stuff like Metallica or Iron Maiden or stuff? Cancelled?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. Well, I remember the stadium tour, Motley Crue, what was it, Poison, Def Leppard, and I think Joan Jett. I mean, that was going to be like this huge, because I mean, Motley, they're coming back and all that. So that was really exciting, especially since like when I got into music, they had already kind of, I guess, at the time ended.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, oh man, well, okay, I guess I missed Motley. So to me, I was kind of like, oh wow, they're coming back. I'll get a chance to see them. So to me, I was really excited about that, but that hasn't happened yet.
No.
Fingers crossed for this summer. But I know that was one of the shows that we were going to try and see.
Yeah, I was meant to go to New York to see Motley Crue for that reunion tour. So I'm gutted. I was so gutted that it wasn't going to happen, because Motley Crue is one of my favorite bands of all time as well. Like, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, they're great. Nick is an amazing guitar player and underrated.
So underrated, as well as a guy that actually lived in my hometown here in Northern Ireland, Vivian Campbell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he used to live like maybe 2 streets down from me.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And it's that's sort of my sort of claim to fame. It's like, I knew him. I've met him before. But like, what other inspirations do you have? Like, what give me your top 5 bands of all time.
Ooh, well, okay, AC/DC's probably the biggest one for sure. I'm a big Slash fan. I love like all of the projects he's done, and Guns N' Roses, obviously. I love his solo band with Miles and the Conspirators. I really love that band. I've seen them live once, and I'm going to see them again. They're going to go out on tour next month when their new album comes out, so I'm looking forward to that. Snake Pit, Velvet Revolver, all that stuff. I really love his playing a lot. Let's see who else. Zeppelin, Jimmy Page. Love a lot of Zeppelin stuff. I guess a lot of like the blues, kind of like the blues-based rock guys. Gary Moore's definitely a huge influence on me. Aerosmith. Actually, someone else from Ireland who's another great underrated guitar player, Rory Gallagher. I really like him.
Unbelievable. There is a Rory Gallagher Blues Festival that happens over here in Ross Trevor.
Yep. Yeah.
And it is the wildest weekend.
Nice.
If you actually remember anything about the weekend, you've done it wrong. Because drinking culture is such a big thing over here.
Uh-huh.
The amount of alcohol you consume that weekend, it would I reckon the amount of alcohol consumed that weekend would outdrink everybody in America. It's so crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, yeah. um, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I like a lot of the blues guys too, like the Three Kings, like
Mhm.
B.B. Albert and Freddie. Peter Green, I'm a big fan of him as well. Yeah, like a lot of those players I really like. Eddie Van Halen for sure. Yeah,
That was the guy you taught, wasn't it?
yeah. I'll keep dreaming.
But since when you first like heard Eruption and started to learn about all these amazing bands, did you learn by like looking up the bands yourself, or did you like was it just listening on the radio with friends or your dad or whatever?
Yeah, so when I first started learning, really YouTube. I mean, there's so much stuff you can find out there. It was cool because when I did start learning, I said to my dad I'm like, hey, I think it would be fun to learn how to play guitar. And he actually played in high school. So he had this amp, a little distortion pedal, and like a Fender guitar that he still had. So he kind of pulled out all that out of storage and turned it on, got plugged in, and then I started going on YouTube and looking up, trying to think of like some of the first songs. Lagrange by ZZ Top, that was always a cool one.
Oh,
Um, Trying to think TNT, of course, a lot of the AC/DC stuff. But you also got like Smoke on the Water and all those kind
oh,
of beginner type tunes. Yeah,
the standard, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But it's especially with YouTube, like when you start listening to music on YouTube, you can go down such a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So bad. Like 1 minute you could be listening to AC/DC, and the next you're listening to Aqua Barbie Girl.
That's quite a big jump, but yeah, that
Such-
can happen.
the algorithms are all over the place.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But a lot of things have come from TikTok. You now have a band, I believe, and you have a book coming out as well. Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, so actually, the book will be out really soon. Yeah, but the cool thing is with the book, it's really mom. It was mom's kind of a passion project. So she really worked on the whole thing, and I think the cool thing with the book is especially for all the people that kind of follow me on social media, they might see the guitar player and all the stuff that I do there. But the medical side is really there's a lot that went on in the early years that people probably don't know about. So this book really kind of talks about, kind of what a lot of the medical stuff was like and kind of how socially like elementary school and kind of growing up, with golden heart syndrome, what that was kind of like, and some of the triumphs and challenges that kind of came with that. And of course, it talks about the guitar. When I did pick that up eventually, and also it talks about because I had some really big surgeries in high school, how the guitar helped me through that, and of course how my family's really helped me, all throughout my life. But most importantly, with the medical experiences in this book and the stuff that is talked about, I really do hope that it just, helps someone out that might be going through the same thing, or really that it helps anyone out that might be going through something really tough and challenging.
Yeah. So you've golden heart syndrome. What exactly is golden heart syndrome?
Oh man, there's lots of it. There's lots of different, I guess.
Variations.
Yeah, but with me, I guess on the outside, I'm missing my left ear. So that's where the hearing aid or the bone anchor hearing aid comes in, and that's great. But like also, I have a really small airway, so I had a stoma or a hole in my neck for a long time. I got that closed up just a few years ago, like kind of before COVID. Thank goodness. But I've had numerous jaw surgeries. Yeah, 36 in total. So
Wow,
quite a few. Yeah.
that's crazy.
Mhm. and yeah, that's all talked about in there, you know, kind of like what the surgeries were for and all that stuff.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's really knocked me. 36 surgeries.
yeah.
That's really, really, really knocked me back. Wow. But then obviously, you've no ear. You had a prosthetic for a while, which you don't use anymore.
Mhm.
Did you find it difficult, you know, for playing guitar, especially because it's a very, you know, you need to listen to and to hear things for it. You know, how do you overcome that?
Well, for me, I think of it this way. You know, I mean, since I never had a left ear, for me, it's always been normal. Like even with the hearing aids, you know, having the you know the Baja now, and that obviously helps tremendously. But I mean, you know, like at night, I still take it off and stuff. So I mean, I'm used to, you know, just having the right ear to hear out of. So for me, it's always been normal. So well, it might seem, you know, just kind of funny to not have, you know, the other side to help you out. um, to me, this is just kind of always, you know, it's what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's just always been that way. So
Yes,
for me, it's just kind of been normal.
yeah, it's been the norm for you.
Yeah.
You've noticed no difference. It's always been that way for you. But
Mhm.
it's good that you're, you know, getting it out there and having awareness for that syndrome, because like I said at the very beginning, it's not a well known thing. It is very, very rare, and
Mhm.
the fact that, you know, with that TikTok that you produced where your prosthetic fell off and you're making fun of it,
Yeah,
it opens the door for you to people to be like, yes, I am a normal person. I am no different from you. You know, please, like, sort of joke and laugh about it, and don't be scared to talk about it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, humor to me, that's such a big, you know, connector. Um, you know, because if you can, you know, you don't want people to laugh at you, but if people laugh with you, you know, it shows that you're comfortable and, you know, that it's not like this big scary thing. You know, laughter, it really just kind of it puts everyone at ease. Like just,
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
It breaks that barrier, because as long as they're not laughing at you, if you get them laughing with you, then everything's sweet. Everything's all good.
exactly.
Exactly. And then the band came about. How
Yeah.
how did that come about? How did this happen?
So I'm trying to remember when exactly it all started. I think it was kind of like, um, let's see, it might have been around the time the pandemic hit. Again, great timing with all of this stuff. But you know, I graduated high school in 2019, and I wasn't going to college, so it's kind of like, well, what do I do now? Well, I had you know, I had the summer, and then basically like right after the summer into the fall, I had a huge, one of my biggest surgeries to date.
Mhm.
So that kind of took up most of the fall, you know, recovery and kind of all that stuff. And then really, you know, winter, it was like, you know, Christmas came and went, and then yeah, then everything shut down. So it's kind of like, huh. And I did the program School of Rock for quite a few years. And that was, you know, it was great because that's where I, you know, really learned how to play with other players. You know, you jam with a band and everything. You know, you did gigs on the weekends. It was a lot of fun. It was fantastic. But I knew one of the instructors there, and basically it was like, hey, you know, if you want to jam sometime, just let me know. And basically, I come up with stuff, you know, just kind of over the years. I mean, and, you know, you just kind of record it in voice memos and just kind of leave it, you know. Um, and then I started jamming with him, and I had this one idea I'd been working on, and pretty soon the ball got rolling, and pretty much throughout most of 2020 and into 2021, we were kind of putting demos together and, you know, trying to figure out how to, you know, just getting a lot of ideas going. Um, and then let's see, we through School of Rock, I have a really good friend. Um, and he's a great guitar player and a singer too. Um, and we got him involved in the band, just like in the spring, so not too long ago. And so he, you know, put lyrics on top of this stuff, and you know, we've been jamming, and so now, you know, now we're like a trio band, and you know, we got, let's see, we recorded a couple tunes just a few months ago at a studio, we spent the whole summer just trying to figure out how to write these tunes and all that, getting everything together, doing a few gigs. And then in the fall, we went to the studio and put everything down, and now we're gonna have an EP out. It looks like in the spring, so that's kind of what's going on right now. And
Oh,
right now, we're trying to put together a set list, like a two like an hour and a half, I think. So
awesome.
that's kind of where we're at right now.
I,
Rehearsing for
I, I assume the most of the set list will be covers.
Yeah, because I mean, we only have like 5 originals. So yeah, it would be a pretty short set,
Yeah.
20 minutes. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you
So
for the
yeah,
money. Thank you for the money. $20 in. Thank you. 20 minutes.
yeah,
Bye. Um,
yeah.
I assume Freebird is going to be on there.
Actually, it isn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. If someone shouts it, maybe we could bust into it.
there's always one drunk guy going to be there that's going to shout, "Do Freebird!"
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, when I did School of Rock, we did some gigs and stuff. My dad was the guy. He wasn't drunk, I don't think, but he would yell "Free Bird." I'm like, oh, there he goes again.
it's always Freebird, Hotel California, or Cliffs of Dover.
Oh no, I've been trying to figure out Cliffs of Dover forever. People keep requesting it on TikTok, but I'm like, I can't get it to sound as fluid as how Eric
Yeah.
Johnson put it. Give me a 20 years and come back to me on that one.
Is there any requests that you've got on TikTok that you just said, nah, I can't even try it?
Oh, there's like some of like the really heavy stuff, which I mean I don't mind listening to, but kind of like guitar wise, it's a bit out of my comfort zone. Which I mean wouldn't be bad to try, but it's like for me, it's like when I learn something, I kind of keep in mind, when I do learn it, I can kind of apply it to to like writing and doing stuff later on. But some of the metal stuff, I'm like, I'm not really sure how I would apply it in these different situations. So I never really took the time to learn it. I don't mind listening to it, but it's kind of like if I can't really apply it or, figure out how I would use it for something, typically I just kind of pass it by.
Yeah. Uh, Going back to when you went to School of Rock, what was the ultimate decider for you to say, nah, I'm not going to go to college?
Um, well, I thought about it for a while. Junior year, it's like that's when everyone's kind of like starting to, get into that that mindset. Yeah, the teachers and students and everyone, it's like, all right, college is coming up. What are you gonna do? And for me, music was really appealing, but I took a guitar one class in my junior year, and I actually didn't do well in the class because it was all sight reading and you know lots of technical stuff, which I don't know, I just didn't really gravitate to.
Mm.
Um, so I'm like, well, okay, this is what I mean. That's what college would be like. So I'm like, well, okay, if that's not going to work, then what else am I going to do? And there were some other things I thought about, but I'm like, it just didn't really seem appealing. So yeah, so that's kind of the yeah. So it's kind of like, well, I guess I'll just keep playing music. And I mean, I graduated before COVID, so I kind of thought, I'd keep doing some of the public speaking that we were doing, through Pete's Diary with the schools and stuff. And yeah, that I mean, yeah, ever since the pandemic hit, that hasn't started back up. So I don't know, you know, what the future of that's going to be.
Yeah,
Hopefully it comes back, but I
life
don't know. We'll
life
see.
completely changed right now.
Mhm.
Your life has changed through TikTok as well, but like how has your life been changed and affected from the pandemic alone? Like, yeah, forget TikTok. Like, how has your life changed now through pandemic?
Um, Couple more guitars. Yeah. Um, let's see. Well, we moved during the pandemic, so I mean that's kind of like I guess kind of like different environment, different kind of I guess, yeah, that kind of thing. The band, that's been really exciting. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely tough, like, with all the restrictions and stuff and all the kind of crazy stuff that's going on. But it's still kind of, working.
Mm,
Things are still moving forward.
yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you as well, like with TikTok and your career really taking off, like what's your
Mhm.
goal for this year? Like what's your plan?
Yeah. So for me, the big thing this year is, the EP release. You know, right now it's kind of getting, mixed and mastered and all that. Um, and then once we have that, hopefully in hard telling, but hopefully we'll have that in a few weeks, and then we'll figure out, like, how we're gonna release it. Maybe shoot a video, try and figure out what the promotion is going to be for that. Like, you know, now comes the fun stuff. It's like, okay, the thing's done. Now, how are we gonna, get it out there? What's the staple going to be? What are we thinking for all this stuff? So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to next.
Well, you're very blessed though, because of the social media following you have. Your EP will skyrocket on release.
I mean, yeah, that was one of the really interesting things when writing, like, coming up with stuff. It's like, it's like, who, like, it's kind of like, you try not to have it in the back of your mind. It's just kind of like write and have fun. But it's like, there's no telling like who might hear it. Like, that's kind of in the back of my mind too. So it's kind of like, okay, especially in the studio when doing a solo, it's like, okay, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah, that's awesome because like it's the same with my podcast. It only takes one podcast to go viral for you to
Yeah.
really start going somewhere, and that's
Mhm.
always in the back of my mind. I'm a stand up comedian as well. It only
Mhm.
takes one of my jokes or one of my shows to go viral as well. Some video and a clip of me on stage for it to go viral as well, and that's one of the craziest things about social media and the world that it
Mhm.
takes literally 10 seconds, a 10-second clip for things to completely change.
Yeah, it's really wild, especially on TikTok, kind of seeing, yeah, what can happen on there.
It's crazy. Like I've interviewed Zombie Undead on TikTok. She's got
Mhm.
5.2 million TikTok followers, which I never expected to ever speak to somebody of that high standard, and especially with yourself as well, because I have been following you from day one,
Oh, cool. Thank you.
from way back, way
Mhm.
back, and it is honestly a true honor to have you on the podcast. Um, but the other thing that I want to talk about is you posted up Instagram there saying embrace what makes you different.
Mhm.
I love that. I really do love that. What what
Mhm.
what 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 makes you say that? What was the idea behind getting that sentence on that or that saying out there?
I mean, for me, that's really kind of been my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, being born, being different and, I mean, yeah, looking a little bit different, but it's like, and, in middle school, I did kind of go through, like, it didn't last long, thank goodness, but, it's just kind of like I put up a hoodie or something whenever I went out. It's just kind of wanting to blend in. And when I started high school, we moved states from, where I used to live in Detroit to Chicago. And that was the transition from middle school to high school too. And so that was kind of a wild, change in my life when that happened.
Mhm.
And, and when I started high school, I did kind of, want to go a bit under the radar. Um, but ultimately, that didn't happen. And I mean, it's hard to blend in when you're born to stand out. So it's kind of like, what, just own it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're a very unique person, and I'm a firm believer that it's not the unique people in the crowd that need to blend in. It's that we need to blend in with them.
Mhm.
That's it's something that I'm like a really big believer in of inclusivity. Is that the right word? I'm going to butcher this word, inclusivity. You know what I mean, and just
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
including everyone, no matter who they are, what background they have.
Mhm.
Love everybody. You know,
Exactly. Yep.
you can't judge somebody because you don't know what path they've walked,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
you don't know what they're going through.
Well, for me, especially like when I did have some of those surgeries in the hospital, especially with the last big surgery that I had, it was this huge, basically airway reconstruction
Mm.
surgery. And I had to be, it was like I was in ICU on a vent, the whole crazy thing. Um, and all throughout my life, I'd always, oh, dogs are barking, but I'd always heard this, and I always think about this, especially like when I'm in the hospital or something. But it's you can always find someone better off than you, and you can always find somebody worse off than you.
Mhm.
And to me, especially with the last surgery that I had, being in ICU and everything, it was not fun. Obviously, it stunk putting it lightly. But being on the ICU floor, you see a lot of tough stuff that kind of happens. So once I was able to get up and take a little walk around the hallway on the floor, I said to mom, I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of lucky. And she's like, huh? And I kind of told her, why, and why I thought that. And yeah, it kind of clicked for her too. She's kind of like, huh, I hadn't thought about it that way. But I think that's very true.
Mm. We have a couple of questions here from listeners, which we're going to get into
Oh, cool.
in a couple of minutes. Um,
Mhm.
with again, with you being very popular on TikTok and your Instagram thriving, you have had messages from the likes of Zach Wilde. Who else of high notoriety have you had messages from or DMs from, or like even on TikTok, have you had people messaging you saying, "Let's do a collab" or "Let's do like a crossover"? What?
Um, Actually, one of the wild things, it wasn't on the Pete's Diary account, it was on my personal account, but it was just kind of something that kind of stood out to me and something I didn't expect at all. I got on my birthday, I got a direct message from Adam Jones from Tool.
Oh,
Yeah. And he said, "Happy birthday, Pete. Keep rocking." I was just like, "Oh, wow. Thanks."
no
Wow.
way!
Yeah, that was very cool. I didn't expect that at all. So that was a really wild surprise.
That is honestly amazing.
Yeah,
Have you covered any tool on your TikTok?
I haven't. I haven't. I need to. And actually, I think yeah, Adam Jones, I think, went to the same high school I did, as well as Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. We both went to the
Oh,
same. We went to the same high school. So that was, yeah.
that's awesome. That is awesome. One of the questions that got asked, and I'm going to shout at everybody at the very end. One of the questions is, if you could go on tour with one band and do support, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It
I mean,
is.
there's a
It is such a.
um,
It is such a tough one. I even thought about this. If I was like, for example, for comedy, if I was to go on tour with somebody, I'd be sitting thinking, who would I love to go on tour with?
mhm.
And I think for me, comedy wise, would be Tom Segura.
Mhm.
But as a musician, who would you go for?
Um, I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, I take any chance I get. But I guess, like, if it was like, I mean, it'd be wild to open up for like someone that I really look up to, like AC/DC. I mean, that would be kind of wild. Might be kind of scary. I'd want to like change my whole like setup. It's like, okay, don't use an SG, don't use a Marshall stack, don't, let Angus do his thing. Just try and,
Just
I
just
don't know.
ble-
That
just
that would
ble-
be kind of
blend into the background and don't get in the way of Angus.
yeah. But I mean, Slash is obviously a huge hero of mine. That would be a huge honor, like if that were to ever happen or something. I mean, I don't know. It's hard telling. I mean, any of like a lot of like those classic bands that I really look up to. I mean, it could be like Cheap Trick or something. Open up for somebody like that, like someone that I
Yeah,
look up to. I think that would be kind of wild, kind of a pinch myself kind of moment.
yeah. You aren't picky then. You don't care.
I'll take whatever, just give me a crowd and a guitar, and as if I can, just get them fired up, if it was an opening act kind of thing. It's like if I can get them fired up and get them, warmed up and excited, ready for the headliners to go, then I'm like, okay, I'm doing my job, get them going.
Uh, Another question is, and this question actually related to me too. performing on stage for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
What was your thoughts and feelings before going on stage?
Yeah, so the first gig that I ever performed, it was a talent show at the high school, my sophomore year. And I'd been playing for about a year at that point, and then the opportunity kind of came up, and it's like, "Hey, would you like to play in this?" And it's like, "Ooh, that'd be kind of fun." Like I haven't played live before though, and I was thinking like, "What should I do?" And the first song that I ever played live, I played along to "Detroit Rock City" by Kiss. Yeah.
Yes.
So I like for like a week, it was like, okay, do the solo, make sure the solo sounds great and all that. Yeah. So for like a week, it was just that song over and over and over. And then, I came home from school before I went to the talent show, practiced it over and over and over, and then went and played the show. And it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome. See, with my very first gig that I ever done on stage, I have never been so nervous in my entire life.
Mhm.
I had to go to the bathroom 7 times. It was so bad. And the final question is, as a guitarist, what do you do every day to hone in on your techniques?
Mhm. That's a good question. I don't really know. I just kind of pick it up and play. And I mean, it's cool because with YouTube, there's like backing tracks and stuff that you can find. I'd be playing through an amp, but I have a little amp off to the side that I can connect, an iPad to with Bluetooth, so I can jam along and play along, to like a track or something, or to like some of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of what I do a lot, and drum tracks too. That's how I came up with a lot of the stuff for the EP. I'd fire up a drum track, or put on a metronome or something, and kind of hammer something out and record it in voice memos and all this different stuff. So yeah, lots of different things. You can
Awesome.
practice scales and all that too.
Yeah.
That works.
Big thank you to Stacey, Evan, and Adam for those questions. Awesome. Thank you very much. Do you ever find a day to be a struggle to maybe get up and do TikToks or maybe like write music?
Let's see. No, not really. Not really for like covers and stuff. But I am kind of stumped right now because it's like we have an EP ready to go, but it's like it's 5 songs. We gotta start getting going on the next batch. But I'm like, okay, I feel like I use like the really good ones. What else can I find and kind of get going?
Yeah.
But right now it's kind of like let's just work on getting the set list going and trying to get the chops going live and trying to kind of fit get that get that working and running, and then we'll try and I don't know. I'll have to scroll around on the voice memos and find some other stuff. And, it's fun too. You can find like I remember one of the songs on the EP actually. There was like one idea I had, and then I was playing along with drums like early in the morning too. I remember, and this other riff kind of popped out, and it's like, well, it's the same type of thing. What if you just put it together? And then it turned out, then it went into the EP. So that's kind of a fun thing. But
Awesome. Awesome. See the questions that we got. I obviously put that thing up on TikTok, or not TikTok, Instagram, to say any questions to be asked. Because of your notoriety, I got 485 questions.
Wow.
I have
that.
I've never been so overwhelmed in my life with messages and requests.
That's wild. Wow.
I had to turn my phone off that time. I was like, no, it's good constantly vibrating. I had to go. I had to turn it off. So I picked 3. I picked 3 of the questions that I thought were really good and related to both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's listening, they're like, oh, why did my question not asked? I cannot ask Peter 485 questions. We would be
That's
here.
a lot. We'd be here all day.
We'd be here all night.
Yeah, I guess all day, all night. Yeah.
No, but we'll wrap this up here now. Peter, thank you very much for coming on. It's an honor to have you on, and it's great to see you thriving and doing so well. and it's great to have you feature on the podcast. It is a highlight, a great start to my year too.
Hey, no, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. This was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much. And you're I can tell just by you talking about music that you're not going to lose love and you're never going to lose the passion for it. And
Yeah,
that's great to see.
yeah, I think it's always going to stick with me. I hope it does. I
Yeah.
think it will.
I'll do a quick outro here. I'll stop recording, then we'll chat a wee bit before we say our final goodbye. All right. So
All right.
I've been Smitty, the co-host of the Talking Smit. That has been Peter with Pete's Diary. And as always, win the morning, win the day, and good luck. See ya.